Well, it's the evening of Saturday the 17th, and things are definitely starting to cloud over. I'm out here at my ranch north of Pincher Creek trying to do some fencing, and as you can see, we got some pretty good clouds rolling in. The forecast is for rain all day tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. Conditions out here are relatively dry, while the Nobleford area got about half an inch this week. This area we only got about 2/10, so conditions pretty dry. This is one of my dugouts here. As you can see, very little for water in there. I'm not going to be able to graze much for cattle if I don't get more rain. I'm going to run out of water pretty quick. Hello and welcome back. It is now Monday, May 19th, and we got a pretty nice, beautiful morning out here. The birds are singing and it's nice and wet. So we had about a half inch of rain yesterday, which took about all day to fall. So it was a nice soaking event, not a whole lot of runoff. So we should have pretty good ground penetration of that half inch. And even though there is no more moisture in sight for the next week, according to the forecast, that half inch should get us at least 7 to 10 days further on before we're running out of water again. Today I'm running around looking at staging, trying to see where fields are. This barley here is hitting 3-4 leaf stage, so it is time to come and get in here and hit this with a herbicide, although we're going to have to wait for things to dry out a little bit, of course. Well, I see lots of canola coming up this morning. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more in the next few days. Now that we got some moisture, we're going to see lots of germination in some of the seeded canola. Well, every year it seems there's always got to be some sort of a skip somewhere or a miss. You can see in this spot here, it looks like seed drill probably ran out of seed or something else went wrong and went to roughly a quarter of a mile, 80-foot wide pass, no seed in the ground. So we're going to have to get this fixed here. Well, lots of peas are in that window to get sprayed here this week. This field is for the most part averaging about 3 node stage. So you can see we got 3 open sets of leaves here. We've got some tendrils coming out, 1, 2, 3 here. 4th is going to open here right away. Generally you're going to be opening a new node every couple days. So really in 3 to 6 node stage is our herbicide window for a product like Viper. Really it's a fairly short stage. We're going to be starting now. In about a week of good weather, we are going to be out of staging probably. So it needs to get done when it needs to get done. Obviously it's too wet to really get in here today without making huge tracks, but I bet you by tomorrow a lot of these fields are going to be dry enough we can get into them. The AgroPlus delivery truck is doing some pretty long hours this week, and that'll probably keep up for a week or two now that we are into herbicide timing. So if you need anything delivered, let us know sooner rather than later so we can get it fixed on schedule. Well, now that the sun's out and things are drying out, you can really see we're in danger of some pop-up thunderstorms. You can definitely see we're clouding up to the north and the west out there. I don't think it's going to do anything other than potentially maybe some light spotty showers, but 'tis that season. Now we got moisture, makes the humidity to make storms. Well, this barley field is hitting 3 leaf stage, so we're getting pretty close to herbicide timing in here, and we have some Canada thistle. So you can see we got a pretty good patch of Canada thistle in here, and some of these guys now are getting about 12 inches wide, so getting to be fairly large. So for in crop, for cereals, for getting rid of thistles, you do have a few options, but really the problem is that at this growth stage of the thistles, all that nutrient flow is coming upwards from the roots to the upper growth. To kill the thistles, we need to kill the roots, not just the foliage. Now it gets really difficult. You need to use something that's systemic and relatively slow acting in order for that to work. So typically what we're going to be looking for is any products with Lontrell, which is a clopyralid, dicamba, which is another group 4, or the RLX active from Corteva are all really, really strong on Canada thistle. But even at this stage, we might thin out a patch, but we're not really going to get 100% control. But what we can at least do is get season-long suppression on this so that these thistles aren't really going to regrow till after the harvest, which is when we can hit them with something systemic. It's going to get down into those roots and kill them properly in the fall, which is the best time to hit thistles. This field of dryland peas is looking very, very good, especially now that it's had some moisture and some rain on it. Things are developing very well. We're pretty much right at the end of herbicide timing on this field, so it has already been applied for the most part. The most advanced plants are just kind of hitting 6 node. Quite a few still in 5. Digging some up, looking for nodulation. You can see we got some pretty good nodulation going on here. It's, for the most part, kind of focused around the seed, I'd say seed row depth, right where the seed is, because that's where the granular inoculant was. But you can start to see that nodulation is working its way down the roots, so it has colonized very, very well. This is the Verdesian inoculant, the GX2. Always very good results with this stuff. This field of corn is just starting to come out of the ground, but just barely. Just kind of first ground crack here. You can see we got one just coming out right here, but you can also see we've got wild oats right beside it here. So lots of wild oats coming up. Some of these patches on this hillside like this one starting to become very visible. So luckily most corn is Roundup ready, meaning we can come in with glyphosate fairly early, which will give us good control on the wild oats. Here we have some very nice looking winter wheat that's developing pretty well. We're pretty much at flag leaf stage here now, almost knee high, and it's looking pretty good. But looking through the canopy, starting to find some sick leaves in here. So this is looking like we have a case of mosaic virus that has moved in here. Now I'm not surprised terribly, because there was mosaic virus in spring wheat on this farm last year. We went straight into winter wheat, and basically what that means is we had a green bridge going from an infected crop to an uninfected fall crop, and now of course we are seeing that infection here now this year. So not nice to see. I mean, being a viral pathogen, there's really not much you can do about it. We just keep the plants as healthy as possible and hope that it develops despite it. Well, here at this pivot point, we've got a few patches of an interesting weed. This is a weed that I always get questions about every year. This is broadleaf plantain. So this is kind of vegetative growth stage here. And when it goes into reproductive stage, it's going to send up a kind of like a raceme. Actually, well, you can kind of see this is a dead one from the year before. It's going to have kind of a short flower stalk that's going to come up, and it'll flower, but it'll never get very tall or very big, but it always shows up in a few fields and surprises people. Not a particularly troublesome weed, usually pretty easily controlled by anything in the group 4 family. You know, it can get pretty robust as it gets bigger. You can see how big and thick that crown is here, and that root, you can see I broke it off there, but pretty good sized root. So this was going to be a pretty big weed. Oh, we got some interesting cloud formations out here to the north right now. These bubbly clouds are called mammatus clouds, and they typically form in the bottom of thunderstorm cells, basically, from rapidly dropping cold air. It has definitely cooled down. I think we got a temperature warning for like 2 degrees tonight, so I guess we'll see how things make it overnight. Well, today I'm back in my favorite patch of wild oats down by Raymond, and as you can see, we have a hell of a flush of wild oats in here. Now, these wild oats are proven very difficult to get rid of this spring. The first product we applied in here was Authority Supreme at seeding time, and I don't think it activated quite properly, and it allowed the wild oats to completely get through it. So we had a huge flush of wild oats come through. Then we've hit it with Centurion at the 30-acre rate, and had basically no control. And now we have hit it about, what would that have been, 7-8 days ago now, with Select Plus at a high rate as well, which is basically a combination of Centurion and Assure. And we're still seeing very, very poor control. So we're going to have to figure out something else to do in here today. This field of wheat has a bit of a problem with canola. This was a Pioneer hybrid canola field last year, and as you can see, it shelled out terribly at harvest. So we have a lot of volunteer this year. So we did use DB878 Pro at pre-burn timing, which gave us some pretty good control on emerging cotyledons for a little while, but that control basically wore out weeks ago now. So you can see we've got a pretty good flush in here, mostly hitting 2-3 leaf stage now. We're going to be we're probably coming in here either today or tomorrow with herbicide. We're going to be hitting this with Barricade with Extra 2,4-D. So we should be able to get all of this canola under control. This field of early seeded wheat is looking pretty good. This is down south of McGrath. Conditions down here pretty good, although we did get that little bit of a frost overnight. But you can see this field, it did get sprayed a few days ago. You can see we got some poverty weed and some lamb's quarters. They're both really starting to curl up and look pretty bad. So these guys were hit with oxbow a few days ago. So we should see some pretty rapid death on those guys, as well as some of the things like this volunteer canola here as well. We should be able to get pretty good control on these guys. Well, this field of winter wheat is looking really good. Herbicide was sprayed in here a couple weeks ago now, and we got really good control of the weeds that were emerged at the time. There is still some canola and kochia and lamb's quarters. It is flushing, but at this point, it's all buried underneath the canopy, so it's going to be controlled just through crop competition. No chemical help needed. At this point of the crop stage, we're basically just going to be watching for disease and potentially doing a fungicide at head timing or earlier if we really have to. But right now I'm basically just looking down in that lower canopy, and down here there is a little bit of powdery mildew just starting to show up on some of these low stems. Now the humidity is high, temperatures have been relatively cool, so that is pretty conducive to disease development. I've actually seen a concerning number of sprayers out in the field today. And I mean, it was cold enough overnight. There was visible frost on the grass this morning. So even though we're now above 15 degrees, really we should not be spraying today. We should be taking a day off, coming at it tomorrow. If the plants and the weeds are kind of shut down and they're not metabolizing things properly, it's not going to do you any good spraying anything today. Well, we're pretty nice but overcast Friday morning. No wind, beautiful out actually. I'm just getting some trial work done here, getting ready for herbicide timing, which is gonna probably be next weekend on a lot of this. This is just hitting 3-leaf stage and is looking not too terribly bad. So today I've just gone in and I've just wrapped baler twine around all my stakes basically, so I have nice lines going along the edges of the plots. That's really gonna help me when I'm spraying from side to side, so that I don't have to visualize a line anymore. I actually have a physical line, so that'll help out quite a bit. It'll also help when I get to harvest, because this baler twine is just going to stay here all season basically. Yeah, and as far as product goes, I have it mostly in place. There's probably 4 or 5 brands that I don't have the product for yet, so I'm really going to have to bug those reps to make sure I have product for next week. Well, usually when we're talking about gopher damage, it's to do with canola fields, but they can absolutely wreck fields like this one too. So this is barley. This is kind of a dryland corner up against a pasture, and you can see the gophers have really moved in here. You know, they haven't completely killed the barley, but they continuously chew it down to an absolute nub anywhere close to their dens here, and that will eventually kill it or severely thin it out. Well, it is now Friday afternoon and we're still pretty socked in. It's been kind of dribbling a steady stream of rain pretty much all morning and afternoon so far. It is supposed to clear off at some point later today, but for now I'd say that we're fairly well caught up to where we were last year for moisture. So we're off to a pretty good start. Last year that moisture kind of ran out in I'd say the middle of June. Right up till first week of June we were pretty good. We had some good moisture last year, and then the taps shut off. So hopefully we avoid that this year. But yeah, for now things are looking pretty good. I mean, I'm mostly just going around checking on herbicide timing, checking on fields that have been done, as well as the next fields that need to be done. You can tell by the sprayer track here, this field was just done probably yesterday. Well, I guess that'll be it for this week, so thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.